Hello, and welcome to Last Week in World of Warcraft. I am your host, Duranasaur. This show will cover all World of Warcraft related news, including retail, classic, and seasonal servers. Mists of Pandaria Remix went live on May 16th, and while many players jumped in eagerly, some were unexpectedly busy with Diablo 4 Season 4. The Diablo season came out on the 14th, which was completely expected, but the real surprise was that it was still worth playing after the first day. The Mists of Pandaria Remix will officially run until August 19th. It includes daily raid lockouts, special Pandaria transmog farming, increased experience rates for leveling, and the indiscriminate murder of millions of frogs. Players are jumping in and loving the MOP remix, not just because it allows them to relive all the highlights and majesty of the MOP expansion, but also because it allows a different way to level and prepare characters for the War Within. An important note if you're using the MOP remix to prepare characters for the War Within is that once it's over and your characters are transitioned back to live servers, their item level will be defaulted based on the level that the character has made it to. So before you spend all that bronze that's most likely soaked in the blood of frogs, just remember that when you transfer that character back to Dragonflight or the War Within pre-patch, it's going to be given a set of gear based on your character's level. At the end of the MOP Remix PTR, the item level of the gear that characters received was 415, though we don't know if that's what it will be on live servers. There's a good chance that it ends up being higher to match that of Season 4 Veteran or Adventurer track. Season of Discovery continues its downward trend in weekly rating characters, and news from last Friday is probably only going to make that worse because Phase 4 is going to be delayed. In addition to the news that Phase 4 is going to be delayed, we were also told that all the testing for different PvP damage and healing reductions is likely going to be implemented based on the final values that were tested. That final testing was a 30% reduction in healing and spell damage and a 20% reduction in physical damage. One major change that was announced when talking about Phase 4 was that they will implement public test realms for the first time in Season of Discovery. It seems that the Classic team is looking to have the game at a much more balanced place for level 60 content. Sorry, DPS Warriors. I don't actually know if Warriors are going to be nerfed, but that seems like a pretty safe bet. While the news of the Phase 4 delay can be pretty hard to hear for Season of Discovery players, it actually could be a blessing in disguise for Classic players because it gives them an opportunity to go touch grass. If that's too scary, don't worry. You can instead go try out Classic Cata, you can try out the Pandaria remix, you can even go try out retail. And if you're really desperate, you can go and try this fake fresh that's going on Classic era Deviate Delight. Classic Cataclysm is going to be officially launching on May 20th, and with that, Blizzard released some official launch notes. Raids are going to be available on May 30th, and world bosses are going to start spawning on June 4th. Chaos orbs are going to be bind on pickup, and heroic raids will not require a full normal clear in order to unlock. Bug fixes for Classic Cata continue to roll in and be implemented, and with the news of the pushback of Phase 4 Season of Discovery, it seems like Classic Cata may end up in a fully playable state by launch. In the War Within Alpha, we continue to get more and more information, including which systems from Dragonflight are going to be returning. Tier Omni tokens are going to continue dropping off the final bosses and raids in order to help players fill in the gaps on whatever tier sets they may be missing. And while I may be breaking rule number 1 by talking about the Brawlers Guild, in a recent interview, it was mentioned as one of the key pieces that the WoW team is trying to bring back during the War Within. Though it will not be available right at launch, the plan is for them to somehow implement it during the course of the expansion. It's not all sequels and remakes though. Profession bags are getting a major buff and literally buffing players with unique profession abilities. The Catalyst will have a new option to catalyze weapons in the War Within. So you're saying that if any weapon drops and you give it to a hunter, it can literally become a hunter weapon. And as I mentioned earlier, the big news for Classic era enthusiasts is the community-driven Fresh event that's happening on Deviate Delight. The current goals of this Fresh event are for everyone to start from scratch, and then if you are choosing to participate, you stick with only Phase 1 content until the community decides it's time to move on to Phase 2, and so on. This will allow players to relive that memorable time in vanilla World of Warcraft where you're farming Molten Core and Onyxia for weeks on end. Players are so starved for a fresh experience that they are willing to roll on a classic era dead RP server to try to get that classic 2019 nostalgia back. Rose-tinted goggles are fully out of stock on Amazon.com, but to be fair, the only reason I know that is because I tried to order a pair myself. When are we getting fresh classic vanilla servers, Blizzard? Just give us fresh. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that, please hit the like button. If you want to catch the next one, hit subscribe. And if you've got any fun tidbits you want to share, go ahead and put them in the comments below. Thanks again, and as always, happy hunting.